snow to come in so badly. Like every day I wake up, because I get up at like ridiculous hours in the morning, the first thing I do is I go on that BergFX app and I look at the weather, and I've got like 30 resorts in there, and I'm scanning like, is there any snow? Is there any snow? Or even like on the forecast, is there any snow? But at the moment, zilch. So
well, it's been coming. I mean, it's definitely getting colder. I mean, I'm obviously in resort, and it is definitely getting colder. Like beautiful autumnal days, but you'll wake up here and there with the odd dusting on the tops. So it's coming.
Oh, can't wait, man. I'm so excited.
I know.
But everyone, this is Gareth. So Gareth, introduce yourself rather than me trying to make a mess of it.
I'm Gareth. And well, I originally met you back in Hemel, a few years ago now. What, 2 years ago? 2 summers ago?
2 years ago, 2 years ago. Best day of my life.
Oh, it was wicked, wasn't it? We had a good time. We had a good laugh. But no, I work for the Warren Smith Ski Academy out in Verbier as our base. And I've been working with them for, pretty much 10 years, which is crazy.
Always in Verbier?
Always in Verbier, yeah. Well, I kind of came to it. I started doing the gap course. So I originally went to Nottingham Trent Uni, and I trained to be a teacher. And I did that, came out of it, went into it for a little bit, and just realized very quickly, I was like, this is a bit too full on for me right now. Like, I need to do a season and just get some skiing and get hoping that like skiing would just get it out of my system.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It just filled my system up more, and I wanted to do more and more.
I knew you was going to say that.
I know. So it just, I mean, it's the best thing I ever did, to be fair. So I came out and I did a gap course, and I did my level 1 and level 2. Hilariously, on my first season, I did my level 1 and then broke my ankle on my level 2, broke my talus. And then from there, kind of was like, oh my God, I've just given up a career to start a new career, and I've already blown it, and then rehab, came back the next year, did my level 2, and then worked towards my 3, and then started working on my 4.
So when did you start skiing though, before that?
Oh, so I was really, really lucky, because like skiing, especially because I'm 33 now, and skiing is notoriously quite an expensive sport to get into.
Yeah.
But like really, really lucky. My mum was mad for skiing. She didn't come into it late in life until like maybe late 20s, early 30s. But as soon as she started skiing, she loved it. So she was like, she had me quite late at 39. So she was well established into skiing by then. And so we prioritized, instead of summer holidays, we went skiing. So we did a week, if we were lucky, 2 weeks a year.
Wow.
And my resort that I used to go to all the time, because we just used to go there all the time, because it was snowshoe and it was just amazing, was Val d'Isère.
I remember you telling me that, actually.
Yeah, so I grew up skiing around Val d'Isère for a week or two every year. And then from there, kind of got in with the Ski Club of Great Britain. And back in the day when they could have leaders and reps, before everything changed in the Alps, and then kept going with them, loved it. Then thought, right, okay, this can't be like real life. I've got to go and find, in inverted commas, a real job, get on with life. And so signed up to teaching. And then before I knew it, was like, oh, can't do this just yet. I've got to go and do a season. Did my gap course, did well on it, came across well, I think. Well, I hope so, because I've been 10 years doing the same job now. And
so you did your gap course with Warren Smith's training?
I did it, with the Warren Smith Ski Academy, yeah.
Oh, and then they offered you a job off the back of that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Best thing I ever did.
Yeah, so I presume does that happen fairly, well, obviously not since Brexit, but before then, I presume that's a good way to hire anyway, isn't it? To pick the people that come on your...
Well, I think, you can get a scope of people. I mean, if you've got a season with someone, you're going to figure out whether, because I mean, it's a funny one with ski instructing, because like, a lot of people who talk to friends and whatever, and they're like, oh my God, you must be the best skier ever. And it's like, we're good skiers. We're not the best skiers in the world by miles. But like the one thing you need when you're an instructor, it's not only good understanding of what you're talking about, but you need good chat.
Yeah.
You need to be able to you need to get on with your clients. You need to find that something in common where you can build something and build a rapport. And I think that's one thing I've never really struggled with, is people skills. Touch wood. I've been all right with that. So
yeah, no. And because the other thing I was thinking as well recently was I was talking to another ski instructor who works in the Three Valleys, and he was saying a huge part of his job now, his teaching job, has got nothing to do with teaching. People want to be taken to this restaurant, They want to know where the best ski shops are, where the best places to eat are, where the best après is. And the teaching is more of almost like a chaperone.
Yeah, which I think, I think that's probably why I've wanted to stay with Warren Smith Ski Academy for so long. is because I genuinely love the clientele we get. It's people like you, that's
Yeah.
how I came across you. Like, they're not, I mean, this sounds bad, but I mean it a compliment. We're ski geeks. We are really, really into, we can have a half an hour quick lunch or a sandwich, but the reason we're there is to go and ski and get better at skiing.
Yeah. Well, I always think if you have an online presence, the people that are most into it are going to be scouring the internet for information. Therefore, the clientele that people get who have got an online presence, I would say, are generally going to be of a specific nature compared to others who are just rocking up to a resort and booking an instructor because they've been keen enough to find you in the first place, if you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely attract a certain clientele, I would say. I mean, and also Warren himself as a person. I mean, you've met Warren at the ski shows and stuff. I mean,
Oh
he's,
yeah, I met him once, yeah. But to be honest, the first time he was one of the first videos I ever found online. Because like when you get into it, the first thing you
yeah.
do, you're watching every single video, and
Mm.
his were on there. But I think they were quite old. I think they weren't even on his channel. I think he was doing it for someone else or something.
Back in the day when he had big sideburns, he had the old
Yeah,
sideburns mutton chops going, and he was, yeah, we used to film him up on Sassway Glacier. But yeah, he was one of the first really to start. Well, I mean, he's quite ahead of his time in many ways. I mean, he's he was making videos back in the day before people really were making videos
yeah,
on like ski specific things, but also like what we can do off snow to get better on snow.
yeah,
Because there's so many like I mean, there are many exceptions nowadays because people can work remotely and all of this, but most people only get a week or 2 weeks of the season.
yeah.
If you're gonna spend and put down a lot of money to go skiing, especially in Europe, it's not. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than America in general, but it's still not cheap.
No,
You want to get the most out of what you're doing, and you can save yourself. Well, I mean, as you know, because your progression has just gone ridiculously quick. But it's because you're really, really working on stuff outside the snow. Like, you're not only doing stuff on the snow, you're thinking about it off snow, you're visualizing, you're doing all these other things. But Warren kind of came up with these videos that really take what could be seen as quite complicated things. He breaks them down into a way that's very understandable. But then he also now, which he'll be doing at the ski show this weekend as well, he'll be doing a lot of biomechanic technique lab talks,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
where it's much more kind of, specific to skiing and like what can you do outside, or like even in the gym, not even necessarily outside, but it's going to make you stronger, fitter, more biomechanically sound to ski well. And the great
yeah,
thing that's really interesting, from my point, I mean, I could talk about this all day, so I'll try and make it quick. But like, because I mean, I'm a ski geek to be fair as well. But biomechanics are so useful when you're skiing, and especially from an instructor point of view, because like, let's say we've got someone, we've got two people in a group, like let's hypothetically say, we've got two people in a group. One of them is, let's say, a yoga teacher, and they are unbelievably flexible in many ways. Their range of movement is going to be massive compared to, let's say, someone who's an office-based job, who doesn't
yeah,
get the time to go and do these things. Like, we talk a lot and you get these buzzwords in skiing all the time, and you see it on instructor course, and see it with people just in general. Like, it's always that Brit shouting at his kids or his wife or himself, I've got to get my shoulders down the mountain. And actually what they're really talking about is something like rotational separation. Now,
yeah,
if you take this example that we've just created of like a yoga teacher and then an office-based worker, more than likely the yoga teacher is going to have really good flexibility in their hips. So they're going to be able to rotate their femur within their ball and socket joint in their hip much easier and probably further than someone who's quite stationary. So there's no point as an instructor wasting their time, because it's not cheap, wasting their time and your own time telling them, oh, we need to get you moving more and getting your skis further across the hill and rotating your legs more if physically they're blocked. And if you can within 5 minutes, because it doesn't take long, if you can within 5 minutes create a visual picture in your head of their biomechanical range of how far they can move, you then have a window that you can work in,
yeah.
rather than saying, well, you just need to do more, do more, do more. I mean, doing more, there's one thing of doing more and there's one thing of I can't physically do anymore. And so once you understand and create that picture of a client, you're able to work with them, and the progression is usually 9 times out of 10 a lot quicker for it.
Yeah, because I remember at the ski show when I saw you there last year, and we did the, the thing where you push your knee, the ankle flexion,
Yeah.
and the measurements and the twisting and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Which, if anyone's going, they should do, by the way. And I realised how limited Mine
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
So I have actually, ever since then, I've been trying to work on that. So I'm quite excited to go back this year to see, because I wrote it down last year. So I'm going to
yeah.
see if it's any better, because when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I am always doing ankle flexion all the time. I do it on one leg for 1 minute, and then I do it on the other leg for 1 minute, and then I know I've brushed my teeth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm hoping it does make a difference,
But
because I
people
always
take it so
notice.
seriously. People really do. Sorry, I interrupted you there, but people take it so seriously and they do write down the numbers. They go away for a year and they come back and they've worked on it and their range has gone through the roof.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why though, because at first it's very difficult to comprehend why that would have a good effect on your movement. Because when you think about ankle flexion, which is where I might even be wrong, but it's basically where you push your shin into the knee, shin into the boot, and you're trying to sort of almost bring your knee further over the toe. Is that a fairly
I
good
mean,
way
that's
of
a
putting it?
pretty general way of saying it. Yeah. I mean, some people think of it like that. Some people think of it as almost pulling their foot towards their shin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Someone told me. I remember once Steve said, because basically my skis were two one was in front of the other, one was leading the other,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was making me catch a towel. And I
Mm,
worked on this for ages, and no one ever pointed out what it was. And I trained with a few people during that time. No one else pointed out what it was. Anyway, I went to train with Steve, and literally in the first 10 minutes, he pulled me over and he went, "You're leading with one ski, that's why your towel keeps catching." And I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And it's as simple as that. And he went, "Yeah, if you put them in line with each other, that won't happen anymore." And I went, "I swear to God, if it's as simple as that, almost going to be angry, because I've spent so long trying
yeah,
to work this out." And he said
yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
"So basically, you've got to bring one back." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." He said, "But before you do, I want you to imagine that you put one in front of the other. Now bring one back. Now tell me how you did that." And I was like, "Oh, I lifted my toes up, I think." And he went, "Right, so just remember that. And on every turn, lift your toes up and your foot will come back." And
Mm.
I swear to God, it was one of the biggest revelations that
It's
I had
huge.
early
It's
on,
huge.
because it just stopped me catching the towel all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
No one could, or no one seemed to be of that level where they picked it up so quickly. But Steve Jones, I'm not joking, it was within 10 minutes. And I was
Mm.
like, that is like, even though it's probably simple to a lot of people, to pick up on that so quickly is I think that's some real high level teaching right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, it
Um,
is like, you've got to, I mean, I always tell anyone that I'm skiing with, like, skiing starts from the feet up,
yeah,
and the first joint that you're connected to your ski is your ankle, and quite often, again, 9 times out of 10, if I've got a group, whether it's doing UK indoor courses in Hemel or Manchester, or it's out here back home in Verbier, I'll just get people to stand still and I'll just get them in like a fairly balanced position. I'll say, right, okay, lean back as far as you feel comfortable. And then now I want you to get forward. And then I'll ask them, I'll say, well, how did you get forward? And they'll go, oh, well, I use my core. And it's like, well, your core's going to help, but that's not what's causing you to move forward. It's
no,
actually the idea that they're just closing their ankle joint and opening it. And then
yeah,
as soon as they start to get that, like, we talk about it a lot and Warren says it a lot, we call it boot suspension. Like if you've got that range of movement in your ankle joint, let's say that you're in, I mean, if it's pristine conditions and your eyes can help fill in the pictures, still very, very useful, but you can get away with a lot more stuff. When it goes flat light and you can't always see the floor underneath you, you can't tell what's up and down, that having that range of ankle flex is literally a buffer, which is why we kind of, we tell people, we encourage people to have a minimum of like 12 to 15 centimeters of range, just because if you hit something, and let's say you're working on 8 centimeters of range, you've not got a lot of room for error.
yeah,
And, that's where we talk about, these problems come in and like injury prevention is a massive thing. So if you can just off snow, go and stretch your calves, stretch your ankle out, work on your Achilles, work on your calves, like your gastrocnemius, your soleus, all of that jazz, you're going to reduce your chance of injury. And the one thing we all want in skiing is to do it for as long as we can.
yeah,
And I think, if you think about it from that, and if we look at our gap course that we do, we always encourage, potential new instructors. When you're analyzing someone and looking for how can we make this skier stronger, work from the feet up. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to give good results.
yeah, for sure, yeah. And one thing I've worked out since all of this is that that um the one thing I always lacked when I skied was movement. Even though sometimes and even to this day, actually, I feel like I'm up and down like a jack in the box. When I look at it back, I'm not moving at all. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
moving.
yeah,
I feel like I'm bouncing up and down,
yeah, yeah.
looking ridiculous. But actually, when they play me the video back, I'm barely moving at all.
Mm.
And actually, it's that ankle flexion, when you do, you sort of like almost like come down at the end of a turn and you take all that pressure away, ready to pass it through into the next turn.
Mm.
Having that really large amount of ankle flexion enables you to almost come lower without getting back seated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because you're moving more into kind of the idea that she's talking about, in a nutshell, as fore and aft.
yeah,
You're able to disperse the pressure from the tip of the ski all the way to the tail. And you don't, you've got to remember, if you're going up, like, there is a use in going up and down at points in skiing, but if you can able to move that motion from going up and down to forward and backwards over the
yeah,
ski, you're going to be able to disperse the pressure so much easier through the ski. And
yeah,
then you're going to be
yeah,
able to, and you see it a lot, especially like back in the day with Austrian skiers, especially. Like, they go quite long in their skis. Like, they use quite long skis, and they're able to manage it if they have these kind of movements, because they're able to manage that pressure control throughout the whole length of the ski.
yeah, yeah. It's all quite interesting, but it definitely worked out over a period of time that as hard as you can try it on snow, if you're not putting in some added extra outside of it, it limits you. In fact, I say it to people in business. Sometimes I do like talks about business and stuff like that. And I always say to people, like, if you're running your own business and if you're working for yourself, starting a company, running a company, whatever it is, if you're not busy when you're not working, you're probably not. You're probably going to struggle, especially in the early days. You've got to be as busy when you're not working as when you are working, doing
Yeah, for
social
sure.
media and marketing and connections, all that kind of stuff, social networking, all that sort of thing. And it's a similar thing, isn't it, really, with skiing? You
Mm.
really, there's two places where you can put in work. You can do it on the slopes, but also off the slopes. And you're
Oh
off the
yeah,
slope more than you're on the slope. So in a way, you could almost have more effect off the slope than you can on the slope.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so yeah,
Like,
that is an important
without
part.
doubt, without doubt. I mean, you see it. I mean, it's always, this is, I'm kind of putting people in boxes here, but you see it a lot with, like, you see it quite a lot with a few blokes, like, when they're really into their golf. Like, I mean, I'm saying this because I've got two clients in mind who are like literally this to a T. They're obsessed with golf, and what they'll do is every weekend they'll go to the driving range, they'll get in front of a mirror and they'll analyze everything that they're doing to then
Yeah,
go and, play on the weekday after work, whenever, with their mates. And they're just constantly ticking over. They're not doing it every single day for like hours. They're doing little and often all the time. And then you get that same person who's got that mentality, and then you talk about skiing with them. Oh, how's skiing? Oh, I love skiing. Love skiing. Yeah, it's my life. Absolutely love it for those 2 weeks of the year. I live for it. And then you're like, well, what have you done to prepare for it? And if they treated their skiing like they treat their golf, they would absolutely fly. Do you get what I'm saying with that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
No, for
very
sure. Yeah,
interesting to see. And it's, I mean, the other thing as well with skiing is, if we go back to kind of like biomechanics of it, there's a lot of forces going through your body. Like, you're dealing with a lot when you're skiing. So, like, the best things you can do is get yourself into a sound shape as you can, which doesn't mean like going and benching and, squatting this and that and just trying to get as buff and big as you can. So that's about becoming not only, strong, but being flexible and mobile with that strength. It's all good being strong, but if you've not got flexibility and mobility to go with it,
yeah. There's no point. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there is a point to a degree, but you're not going to get the most out of yourself from it in any way.
No, I mean, I did martial arts for like 30 years, and it was always funny because when you got like the real jacked up like heavyweights in,
Yeah.
we would always stick stickers on their back because they couldn't reach them,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah,
because their arms were like so big they literally. So we would all just walk around putting stickers all over their back all the time because they
yeah.
literally just couldn't reach them,
It's like a
and
turtle on its back, isn't it? It's
yeah.
hilarious.
And even in the ring, we would know full well how to take full advantage of the fact they had no mobility whatsoever.
Mm.
And you'd get guys like really tiny guys like Brad Pickett, who was ex like UFC world champion, and they would dance around these massive guys all day long. And it was just an amazing thing to watch. But it definitely taught me a similar thing back then, which was like, you've got to put as much into your yoga, and your mobility and your stretching as you do into training fighting. I never did it because all I wanted to do was punch things, but I, but I knew that I should. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
people that did were always better. You know, in fact, we had the guys in our classes that went to gymnastics and did all the gymnast stuff. And in fact, there's a really famous UFC fighter called George St. Pierre, the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And he was renowned for doing gymnastics and was phenomenal off the back of it. He even looked like a gymnast. You know, he had the rounded shoulder, looked like a
Mm,
gymnast.
mm.
But yeah, it does go to show like how much of a big difference all of those things can make. And in fact, I remember I can't remember how much time I had off, but I went back to skiing, and during the time I was off, I just decided to walk and run loads. And the minute I was back on the slope, I could definitely feel like a huge difference in
Yeah,
lots of different ways. And I thought, you know what, I could have sat on the slopes for months and not made the progress that I have since I haven't been skiing for a month.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
really
there's a lot to be
strange.
said. There's a lot to be said for that. Like it's a lot of people in general, I imagine, but you see it a lot in skiing. They do the same thing all the time, every trip they come out, and they expect to change. And actually, if you're doing the same thing and expecting a change, you're never going to get one because you've not done
No.
anything different. You've got to mix it up. And it's funny, in town, especially here up in Verbier now. I mean, you're almost an outsider if you don't do it now, but people now regularly do Pilates once a week
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
And it's become one way of just, it's a really nice community and it's a nice way to socialize with your mates and keep up. But also, it's just so good for your body
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's
Yeah,
so
no,
good
it
for your
does make a
skiing.
huge difference. Yeah, yeah, you can only imagine. I mean, even just being able to deal with um when certain situations almost force you to stretch ways that you're not used to doing, it would be better even from an injury prevention
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perspective. Yeah, for sure. But when
Mm.
you first started your training with Warren Smith, was that under a specific system back then, or was that just a generic thing?
Yeah, so we started our training and, we started originally with Basie. So I
Oh,
did my
okay.
first two levels with Basie and then I converted over to IASI. Um, just because at the time we were moving into IASI anyway. And to be honest, I didn't really know anything different. And so when I came back to do my, second or third season, when I was thinking about doing my level three stuff and started cracking on with that, we'd moved to IASI. So it made sense to move with IASI as, we had, luckily on our team, we've actually got quite a few IASI trainers, so educators. And we've also got we've got people like Jordan on it who, did the interski. So they represent Ireland as
Oh,
well over in like Levy in Finland. And I think it was Pomprova as well before that in Bulgaria, from memory.
okay. So on a typical season, like say for example, like last season, the season before, are you mainly doing weeks with people, or are you doing like the longer term qualification stuff, or
Mm.
how does that usually work?
Well, so we kind of mix it up because, we're not in terms of like this average ski school. I mean, I would say that, we're not your average ski school in that respect, but we're quite a small team and we like to, we like to keep the level high. So we rarely will take people on to full time if they've not got at least their ISAA normally. So they're stamped. But yeah, we'll quite often we'll do because we run a gap course. We also have another long-term program called the Masters that we run, which is basically aimed. I mean, it's for people who have no interest really in instructing and don't need the qualification behind it, but want to get to an instructor level of skiing.
Right.
And so we dedicate a season to that and we run them. They're normally 5-week courses nowadays, but we run them so they're quite long term. So we can run a couple in the season. So you'll quite often get clients coming out to do the early season one from December to Feb, and then they'll come out and do the March and April. So the progression is long for them. But in terms of coaching, our main kind of what I would call our bread and butter product is our 5-day academy, which is where we take someone out and within 5 days, we'll analyze you, not only on the snow, but we'll actually video you and we'll go and sit in a room, we'll get it on the TV and we'll look you through frame by frame and we will come out with a completely different skier after 5 days. The next bit is up to them to keep that up, you know what I mean, and maintain it and then building it from there. But
Yeah.
from coaching wise, quite often I'll do a lot of 5 days because I love them. I love the 5-day academy because it's quite, you're always changing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it keeps you fresh because you're always going to have different skiers in front of you. So you've got to
Yeah.
adapt.
And
You
if
know,
someone did one of those, let's say you get someone who's been skiing, I don't know, they're like your average skier basically that you could just pluck off of a slope. They came and did that course, that 5-day course.
mm,
Obviously you'd elevate them during that time. If they came back and did that exact same course next year,
mm.
would they still benefit from that again, or would that
Well,
moment have
hugely.
like passed?
Well, hugely. I mean, like massively benefit from it. Like, we normally, like, quite often we'll have 40 people signing up for an academy week. So we'll have 40 clients that week on the academy. So we'll have,
Wow.
we never have more than 6 people in a group.
Right.
And it's quite funny because you'll get people in the academy who have come through and they're going from, like, maybe, like, I don't call it the bottom group, call it, like, more kind of like less experienced to early kind of skiers.
Yeah.
Within 2 or 3 academies, they've way moved up to middle, some up to top. So
Yeah.
there,
It's
you can see a
amazing.
progression. There's always something. There's always a bigger fish. Like, you can always go into something else with them.
Yeah. I mean, I've only ever done one of those week-long camps. I did the Stomp It one, and
Mm,
I was amazed at how quick the progression was. Like, I
yeah,
really did not expect the progression to be as quick as it was, because even though everyone on there had been skiing a long longer than me, obviously, most of them been skiing all of their lives. They all had the same problem, pretty much. Like, every single, it was really weird actually, because all of them had been skiing way longer than me, and they were flying around. Like, I would never be able to keep up with most of them. Like, it was way
yeah.
beyond my speed ability. But their problem was their technique. Whereas mine was more, I had okay technique, but I couldn't add the performance. But they
Mm,
had like almost all the sort of non-technical performance, but no technique. But it was amazing because by the end of the week, they'd added in some technique to their existing performance, confidence, experience.
mm,
And these people went from being, like sitting in the back seat, didn't really look very good, apart from the fact they were going super fast. And they all of a sudden they added in this technical ability, and I enjoyed watching them as much as I enjoyed doing it, because it was just great to watch this progression of all these people. And by the
oh
end of
yeah.
it, they look like good skiers. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
But it was quite interesting to see just how quickly that happened. I never expected um, the progression to be so fast, which I presume
mm,
is a similar sort of thing to what you guys do. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, I thought because there was a lot of people, and I'd only ever done one-to-ones to that point, I think, or roughly. And they tend to be a bit not as like pushy.
Yeah.
um,
More
yeah,
client led. More client led sometimes.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, whereas when I got on that, it was like, right, we do it. Right, now we're on to this. Now we're on to this. Now we're on to this. And at first, I was thinking, God, no one's going to be able to keep up with this. But they did. And by the end of it, it was there was one person in particular. Honestly, it was the transformation was like nothing I've ever seen before.
Mm,
He could barely ski, this guy, and by the end of it, he was he was sensational. He was racking out like 150s on Carve, like just run after run after run after run.
nice.
It was
Nice.
unbelievable. I'm not even joking. It was unbelievable. Even the teacher,
It
I
is
think, was
incredible.
shocked of him.
Like,
Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's
so
all
good.
about, if you apply yourself, and you've got someone who knows what they're doing, then there's many of us out there who do. Like, it's the progression is quicker than most people think. People think you've got to dedicate your life to things sometimes to get it. And, I mean, you're a very good example of that. How many years have it been? 2 years, 3 years?
Now, this will be my second and a half season. Yeah,
Yeah, but like, you've done it well, and there is also, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but there is an argument for the less experienced you are, if you find this kind of, like you're saying with Stomper or with us, if you find that kind of place where they are really, really kind of meticulous about what they do, you've got no bad habits because you
no,
haven't had that amount of time on snow to get the bad habits, whereas you go the other side of the coin, like these people you said were flying around, like, there's a lot to be said for like confidence, because confidence brings with it, you know, with it becomes technique. If you've got somebody who's confident, you can put them down stuff and put them in situations that they can manage. Their technique's going to go up because they're pushing it in different ways. Whereas you quite often get the other side of it, if they've got really good technique, but their confidence is quite low, they can almost sometimes find a plateau with it. And so it's kind of creating that happy balance and happy medium. But, I think I was listening to one of your podcasts the other week, actually. I think it was with Scott Hammond, and he was saying about, it's all well and good, being able to go and ski a black run, but it's not actually about skiing it, it's how you skied it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And it's a big,
yeah,
big thing. It's a massive thing, especially like in somewhere like, if for people who've not been to Verbier, it's quite a notoriously steep off-piste orientated resort. It's one of the meccas of Europe for off-piste, but it's also renowned for steep.
yeah. No, I found Verbier super tough when I went there, because I can't remember, when did I go there? Oh no, I think it was actually in December. I think actually after I'd seen you in Trevinia,
Mm,
last December. I think it was December. It was early December. Um, I went with Jason from there straight on to Verbier for a few days.
yeah,
And at that time of year, it was like just insanely hard pack with just fake, not fake, but like the um, thingy
man-made
snow,
snow.
yeah, over the top.
Mm,
Yeah, and I really struggled because I don't know why, but I don't think I'd had those conditions before, or I was skiing at a higher level, which made me notice it more, maybe.
mm,
Um, but I really struggled to just get any form of grip whatsoever, and where it is so steep, um, yeah, I found that really quite difficult when I skied Verbier, and I think because I'd been doing so well in Zermatt, me and Jason had like a really good time. We were flying around all over the place.
mm,
When we went to Verbier, he wasn't even looking where we were going or anything because he's never been there before. We were just skiing, and I'm
mm.
looking at these signs and I'm thinking, this is a black fuck, like you're killing me. And then and then we're
Yeah,
on another one, and I'm thinking, oh, please be a blue, please be blue. And I'm looking at it's another black, and I'm like, Jason, you're killing me here.
yeah. It's
Uh,
tough.
it
I
is
mean,
tough, yeah, mate, it is tough,
it
yeah,
is notoriously tough. I mean, but there is also, I mean, it's exhilarating on its own just for that reason. But, there is also a theory of, especially when you get to instructors, and you see it a lot when you go and do your exams in other resorts, because obviously, if you say you're doing your level 3, your level 4 tech, it's not always in the resort that you're based in.
yeah,
You might
that's
have to
true, yeah,
travel. If you ski in this resort, quite often, more often than not, you go to another resort and you're like, oh, this is quite manageable. Like, I feel
yeah,
okay, and
yeah.
it's almost that kind of theory of, train hard, ski easy.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was one bit, and we got on. I said to him, I was like, Jace, you got to get me onto something easy. I'm dying here, like I'm literally dead. And it wasn't even just it wasn't like the necessarily the fear factor. It was the exhaustion. Like it was killing my legs and everything was
Mm,
just totally obviously he skis all the time, so his body's trained for it. But
yeah,
I'd just done like 3 weeks of non-stop skiing, like 7 days a week. I was knackered anyway, and then we headed over there and we were skiing quite hard. Jason's obviously a ski instructor. So I'm following him around like a dog, and looking like one as well. And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, no, we'll find like a nice little blue." He said, "I think I saw one on the sign." Anyway, we got on this blue in it. You'll probably know it, but it was like it almost cut across all of the other slopes and went like around the mountain, and it was super long.
yeah,
And all like the reds and blacks was almost like coming through it as we crossed over them almost.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
and
know
it
what
was
you
a
are.
ridiculously long, like narrow blue track. And I remember just being on it thinking, oh, this is like absolute heaven. I
Mm,
was
yeah,
thinking, I'm a blue slope skier.
mm,
This is my
yeah.
kind of
That'll change.
skiing.
That'll change. That'll change. But
Yeah,
yeah, I know
but
what you mean.
yeah, and then we skied all the way down to. It's funny because online, this ski school followed me, and they were called Rougemont Ski School. You
Mm,
probably heard of them, and
heard of, yeah.
yeah, and my road, one of the roads down the road from me, is called Rougemont, which is a funny named road. So when they followed me on Instagram, I'm showing all my family and that. I'm like, how weird is this? The road down there is, I'm doing all that. And
Yeah.
so when I got there to Verbier, I said to Jason, I've got to ski down to that ski school just to take a picture to show like my wife, because we'd
Mm,
been talking about it. But that run down into that valley there where the little waterfall is, I think it is, or a stream or something.
mm,
Outside, there's like a cafe, and the ski school is in this little like building down there.
mm.
That's a pretty savage run down there on hard pack.
Yeah, it's pretty character building. I mean, yeah, like that area, like if you go into, I mean, because that's the beautiful thing about Verbier as well. If you don't like it in Verbier, just move to the next valley. Like it's a four valley resort. So you've got these big resorts and a
Yeah.
couple of little. I mean, there's a lovely one which I think you actually did with Jason, which was Suman, like Savalair, which is
Yes, that
kind of
was the
yeah,
first place we did. I loved that there. That was right. That was
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit.
I was gonna say that would
That was
be
right
that would
up
be
my
right up
street.
your street.
I know. And then when he said, "Oh, I want to go to Verbier tomorrow," I was thinking, "No, let's go back to that. That was really nice."
I'm happy where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went to Verbier, and my God, that was a tough day. But yeah, those valley runs down into those places, they were pretty tremendous like runs. They were not your average
Mm,
place. To the point where actually I was thinking to myself, I don't think a lot of my friends and family um would enjoy it right now at the level
mm.
they're at. Do you know what I mean? Because it is definitely noticeably harder due to the steepness than probably anywhere else I've ever been. Actually, I don't think I've been anywhere that's harder than that.
I mean, I'd say it's, to put it into like nice words, I call it character building at times.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there are lots and lots of places, if you know where you're going, that are great, and, we always say in the academy, like we say to people who sign up to our academy, we make it very clear on our website, if you're going to come and join our 5-day academy course, you're going to be with different people that you maybe never met before, more than likely. We just ask that as a base level, you can ski a red run. Doesn't mean like you can ski it really, really well. We just want you to be able to ski it in control.
yeah.
But even if that means quite slow and steady, that's fine. It's no problem. But it's just simply because it is a challenging resort, and to access the goods that Verbier has, you're going to have to go on some things where you're going to be pushed out of your comfort zone or on the edge of your comfort zone at points.
It was tough, but what a place though!
Oh,
Like
it's
there's,
unreal. It's
it is
unreal.
unreal. Yeah, it is unreal. I remember we I can't remember exactly where it was, but we bumped into who's the guy, I think you know him, who rode the channel
Oh, Tom
recently.
Waddington,
Yeah, Tom Waddington. So I'd actually
local
seen him on
legend
one of
now.
the Stomp It videos.
Mm.
Was it a Stomp It one? Yeah, I think it
Or
was a Stomp It
Carve.
one. Oh, Carve, sorry, Carve, yeah. And I loved that video. I thought it was brilliant. And I'd spoken to him on Instagram before then about something else, and then we bumped into him because Jason knew him as well. I think Jason did some filming for him at some point.
Mm.
And I remember thinking when we stopped, I was just thinking, thank God that we've seen somebody that we can stop for 5 minutes.
Yeah, have a little breather.
Yeah,
Make that
that was the
conversation
first.
last as long as you can, just to get the
Yeah, I
legs
know. I
back.
did. I didn't want to stop talking. When Tom said, "I better get on because I've got students," I thought, "Oh no, please no."
Please don't leave.
Um, but give me some tips. But when the position that I was in, we were looking down onto this, and it was like this spaghetti junction of like ski pistes, and it was unbelievable. It was where that, like, I don't know if you know the one where they practice the formation skiing. It's like a ridiculously red steep red,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's quite short, but
yeah.
it's like vertical. Like it
Yeah.
is literally like vertical. I remember Jason took me up to the top of it and he went, "Yeah, let's do this one. It's only short." And I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, thank God, only short." And then I got to the top of it and I was like, "Well, this is out of order. This has got a red badge on it. It should have some other kind of sign on it, maybe like 'Don't come down here' sign." And then I was looking down and I was thinking, "Oh my God, like this is petrifying." But anyway, we did it. But that whole area where you look down onto.
Mm.
I remember standing over the top of it and just thinking, "Oh, this is the dream right here. This is like unbelievable. Like just pastes everywhere, all into crossing, coming across each other, like looping down. It just looked like this most incredible thing I've ever seen.
I mean, it's
And
stunning.
it was unreal, absolutely unreal.
It really is. Like, it's I mean, there's a reason why I've called this and made this place home. Like, it's one of the most beautiful places that I've ever skied in, and it's kind of got that, for me anyway, like, and I've not skied loads and loads of different resorts. I've skied a fair few, but not loads. But, Chivy is a good example because it's so high. Don't get that many trees where you're actually skiing and kind
No,
of going above right into the alpine. Whereas here, you've got that kind of beautiful mix of, you're surrounded by like unbelievable trees, especially now that it's autumn, they're all turning and it's beautiful. But,
yeah,
you've got
it is
that.
a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. It's one of the
It's just
best
stunning.
towns. It is. It's absolutely unreal. But yeah, it is. If you want to push yourself, it is definitely the way to go. But I think most people come to Verbier, don't they, because of the off piece rather than the
Yeah.
on piece, which I know absolutely nothing about. But if you want to push yourself on the piste, Verbier is definitely a place that you can go and do that because. Yeah, it's unreal. In fact, I'm looking forward to coming back there actually because I think I'll be able to ski it better this time. I've got a bit more knowledge, a bit more ability, and hopefully I can enjoy it a little bit more because
Mm.
it was definitely tough last time I went.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you out here. But yeah, I mean, in terms of, yeah, it is a mecca for off-piste. It's got some of the most accessible, you know, least accessible terrain that you could get to. It's like scarily easy in many
Yeah,
places. Which, we've also got here. You get them in other resorts as well, but we've got what are called itineraries. So itineraries are basically that kind of in between middleman between going properly off-piste, where you kind of, you're on your own, you're responsible for yourself. An itinerary is where they basically take, like, let's say there's one very famous example called Tortin, like Chasseur, and it's a big bowl. It's just a massive, massive bowl. And they bomb it, they check it, they make sure it's safe and that nothing, in terms of like environmental conditions like avalanches or anything is going to happen. So they do as much as they can to limit the risk, and then they open it up and you can go. So if they bombed it the day before and then you get a nice bit of snow, you're just skiing fresh tracks, and it's amazing because you just catch it at the right time of day when they're opening it. Because quite often, if it's not safe, they won't open them, so you can't get to them. But as soon as they do, you'll get people waiting at the gate for it to open up, and then they go and get those first tracks. And it is like, it's one of those where you like pinch yourself moments, like, oh my God, I've got here in the perfect place at the perfect time, at the
Yeah.
perfect like day. Everything is in your fair, and it's one of those memories that you keep. It's unreal for it. But yeah, the off piste is incredible. I mean, and also we're quite famous for it as well. We've got the Free Ride World Tour,
Oh,
so
right. Yeah. Okay.
which is, if you're into free riding, it's the ultimate. It's, I mean, they're all absolutely off their rocker and mental, these people doing it. But we've got a famous mountain called the Bec de Ross, and the final of the Free Ride World Tour, which is obviously the clues in the name, it's a world tour. So they go around resorts like, I think they even been to Alaska and places like that, and all over the world. But they have their final here in Verbier, and it's a hell of a day when you get that on. It's unbelievable when the conditions are right and you watch it. But we've also got a very famous snowboarder that he's French actually, but he's been living here for as long as I've known of him. And he's called Xavier de la Rue, but he's a snowboarder. And he actually kind of really pushed back in the day, like how Verbier was such a big off-piste place. And, it even goes back, like Verbier has a real history of off-piste in general. There's a very famous photographer that, like, I only met him for the first time maybe a couple of years ago, and I wouldn't say I know him well at all, but he's really, really interesting. He's called Mark Shapiro. And I'd say, like, definitely check him out on Google because his photos are iconic. Like, it's just like, especially like back in the 80s, you've got these straight skis and skiers in like bright fluorescent kind of, onesies, wild hair, which I'm incredibly jealous of being bald.
Yeah.
And they're unreal. But these photos just capture like the magic of what Verbier is. So
Yeah.
I'd definitely say check him out as well on Google because it's
Yeah.
just,
No, that's interesting.
yeah, he's got some wicked posters and all that. But he still lives in resort, and you sit down and hear him talk about his stories of the off piece that they were doing, and you're like, oh my God, like this is bonkers. Like it's a playground. If you want it to be, it's a playground to go and do it. Just
Yeah.
make sure if you are
It
doing
does
it,
look
you
like
know what
that.
you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I stood at the top of that thing, that is exactly the word that came to my mind. I was like, this is like a playground, like a paradise. It's
Mm,
like, I don't know, like as a child, I don't know, maybe see, I don't know, like going to a ball pit or something like that. Like you just looked at it and you just
yeah.
thought, oh my God, like this, this is unreal. Like
Yeah.
this is insanity. Like this is on another level.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and just that one area. I need to go back there and find exactly where it was. But I never forget that. I never forget looking down on that. And in fact, then Jason asked me to video him, and he went down. And he carved like the whole way down this thing, and then did like a massive skid at the bottom. And it just looked unreal. Like it was just
yeah.
so cool.
Heroic. Yeah. Hero
Yeah, yeah, it
skiing.
was. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. That is like my aspiration is to come back here one day and just ski like a little bit like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely
100%.
unreal.
Well, I
And the
mean,
cool
that's
thing
the other
about
thing.
Verbier is as well that I don't know if many people know is that obviously because Switzerland doesn't really have its own language, the bits that are near Italy, they tend to speak a bit of Italian. The bits that are
Mm.
near France, and obviously Verbier is nearer France, so it's like it is almost like France, isn't it? Like if you didn't know, you would think you were in France.
Oh yeah, like everyone, if you speak to any locals or like, I would say the local language here is French is the main,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hundred
like
percent.
100%, 100%. So yeah, if you didn't know, you could be kidded into thinking you might be in France.
Yeah, and it's
But it
quite
is,
unique because of that because you get that normal kind of Swiss perfection mixed with a bit of French personality,
yeah,
which is a bit louder than the German ones, obviously because the French are just that got that bit more sort of
like
flamboyance
joie de
about them.
vivre, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
so it's quite an interesting place just from a sort of cultural perspective as well. I actually really loved it there, and there's a
Mm.
great night vibe, isn't there? Loads of
Oh,
après.
yeah. I mean, there are people who come out here for the nightlife, and if they get some skiing in the daytime, happy days. But yeah, I mean, it's quite good actually because we do go there every now and then because we actually work with them as a partner, as a sponsor. But it's called Fahrenheit, which is kind of probably the ultimate après bar in this town in Verbier. And it's, they get some world class bands in there and just people go wild. Like they have a great time. And it's very laissez-faire. It's just relaxed. Like people just enjoy it, and you can be yourself and just kick back and have a great time. And hopefully I'll be too hungover the next day to ski.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that because this year we're going to come there for New Year's Eve.
Mm,
Because on TikTok and stuff, like the New Year's Eve in Verbier looks like the New
mad.
Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that real, or is that just that one year, or like? Well,
It's
tell us
real.
a little bit
It's
about New
every
Year's Eve.
year. Oh, New Year's Eve, like, it's just, oh my God, it's bonkers. Like, I mean, I would just say come with like, an industrial amount of Barocca and you'll be all right. But it's like, it's big. It's big. So there's an area, in town, like you probably know it from being here, but it's a big roundabout. It's called Place Centrale.
Yeah, yeah,
And so basically that area just gets flooded with, well, what looks like thousands upon thousands of people. And you get a DJ at the front and they get the fireworks out. And it's all in front of Faraday around there. And it just goes off big time. I mean, it's one of those that you'll be recovering for a week after.
yeah,
But it is, it's one of those, it's a real experience. Like, especially like, for skiing. And especially like, for those, because especially in families nowadays, you'll get the people like, maybe like yourself, who's really keen for the skiing. And get other people in your family who like, really like skiing, but I also want to go and have a damn good time.
yeah,
This place has it all for that, for sure. But
yeah.
yeah, like New Year, unreal. It's just mental.
Yeah,
And
because
there's quite a
I
few
keep
Christmas
bigging it
places
up
for
to
it.
like all my friends and family. Because actually, my mum and dad, they're into their camper van,
Mm,
and so they're gonna come with us to Verbier for New Year's. Because the last however long we've always spent New Year's together somewhere. Well, in fact, the last few years it's been skiing because I'm dragging everyone to a ski resort. But
good
yeah,
work.
they're coming with me, and then they're driving off to Spain for a month because it's sort of
Mm,
on the way, if you like. Um, and then we're gonna go off to Pila for 4 or 5 days. But I keep bigging it up to everyone. I'm like, no, look at these videos on TikTok. Verbier is going
mm.
to be unreal at New Year's.
Oh, it really
Because
is
last
like
year
that.
we were in Grindelwald, and everyone was like, there was actually in Grindelwald. There's a little party in the train station. So when you come in from the slopes, you ski into the train station. There's this really lovely, amazing atmosphere like party, but it's not heavy, and it
Mm,
probably ends at like 8 o'clock or something. But then this year, like I'm always asleep before 12 o'clock on New Year's because I'm just that sad person. But everyone else went out into Grindelwald town, and when I saw them the next day, I was like, "Oh yeah, was it banging? Like, did you have a good time?" They were like, "Well, there was like 30 people." There was no
yeah.
one there. So this year I promised everyone that they can go out and have a good time. So I thought
Well,
Verbier has got to be the one.
they won't be disappointed, like for sure.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's just, and you just meet so many cool people out on your night out. It becomes like an adventure. It's just,
Yeah.
you come away and you're like, oh my God, did that really happen? Like, how? Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't drink, and not for any weird reason. I just don't really want to drink. But the especially on New Year's Eve, there's no way I'm drinking because it's the busiest time of the year for skiing, and those
Mm,
first couple of hours on New Year's Day, I'm the only person on the slope. So I like at the busiest time of the year, I get a
yeah.
whole resort to myself, and there's
Mm.
no way I'm giving that up for any happiness in the world because
It's,
that is
yeah.
my happiness.
People pay a
So
lot of money to get that experience. Like, yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
these lot will go out and get wasted that night. I'll be tiptoeing around the house at like 6 o'clock in the morning, being at the lift like half an hour early because I'll be hyped to get on them slopes when
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
no one
best
else
time.
is there. Yeah, but my little girl's coming in as well. But it's all right for children as well. You think New Year's Eve?
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Sorry guys, it was at that moment we had a software malfunction and we had to stop the recording and start again. But because there is another hour to go, what I've decided to do is put it into 2 episodes. So thank you very, very much for getting to the end of this episode. I'm going to put the other one in a second episode. I'm not going to make you wait a week or anything like that. I'm going to upload it hopefully today or within the next 24 hours. And you can go on and listen to another hour of Gareth, who is just one of the most amazing people I've met, especially around the whole sort of ski industry, ski people. So yeah, that was amazing with Gareth, and we will see you in episode 2.